Hello, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, retired NYPD Sergeant Bill Cannon, a 27-year veteran of the NYPD. This case in the Dominican Republic, Punta Cana, of missing University of Pittsburgh junior Sudiksha Kananki has entered its 11th day. And one of the big questions we all have, what happened? And that young man, you see his picture in the thumbnail, Joshua Reeby. Is he a person of interest? Is he a suspect? He was the last person seen with Sudiksha when she was alive. They were reportedly drinking heavily. They went for a swim at 4:15, 4:20 a.m. on this Punta Cana resort. Not the smartest thing to do when you're drinking, but these are young people. They went into the water, and Joshua's story is that they got swept out, and he tried to save her and went in about waist-high water. He thought that he had her close enough to the shore. He turned, and he got sick and started to vomit. He turned around, and she was gone, mysteriously swept out to sea. Yet, in day 11 of this investigation, her body has never recovered, which leaves us all to believe, is there some type of foul play here? Did something nefarious happen? Because the story from Joshua has been consistent in the fact that it's been inconsistent. But we have to also realize he's been interviewed by several different law enforcement agencies. He was intoxicated when this occurred, and I'm not giving him a defense, but is that perhaps understandable when you're interviewed by numerous people? When you're interviewed more than one time? Numerous, I don't know how many times, but numerous times. Might you change your story or remember it differently? These are some of the questions I have. And from my experience as a homicide investigator, I'm going to talk about some of these. There's really no big changes, no smoking gun new information, although if you watch the media, they'll say new information. I don't think there's anything new that they didn't know initially. Perhaps more information is coming in. And when they interview Joshua, they can check his answers against his friends by interviewing his friends and other people that were present that night. So disturbing, sad, if in fact she drowned, but will we ever know? And my question is Joshua a person of interest, or is he a witness? If he's a witness, how come he's not free to go? He wants to go home. They won't let him. That screams to me suspect, because you couldn't do this in the United States. All right. They would get one bite of the apple, so to speak. And once he lawyered up, got an attorney, all interviews would be over. The attorney would not, they would maybe cooperate in the beginning, but they're not going to cooperate for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 interviews, which, of course, you're going to have inconsistencies. Anyway, folks, hold on to your hats. Hold on to your loved ones. Hold on to your cup of coffee. Hold on to your service dog. You're about to enter true crime from a police perspective. You're about to enter the off-the-cuff zone, the police off-the-cuff zone. There has to be some common sense.
They were the ones who called 911 to get him help, and now they're calling for change.
And now a word from our sponsor. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for betting on all the madness. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from college basketball to a $200,000 bracket contest, BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every Cinderella story to every hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. Mando Whole Body Deodorant. The thing I like most about Mando Body Deodorant is that it lasts all day and leaves me feeling clean and fresh. It doesn't quit even after the harsh heat and humidity. The fresh feeling keeps me dry and confident. No need to worry about unsightly sweat stains. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code POLICE, POLICE in capital letters at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. So, folks, this story is absolutely a tragedy. Whether there was foul play or this is a drowning, here we have a 21-year-old college student, junior, beautiful girl, family that loves her family, came to the Dominican Republic to see what was going on with the investigation and urging investigators to pull out all stops. They even got Interpol involved. Is there any other possibilities that could have occurred here? Could she have been kidnapped from the beach afterwards? I think it's unlikely, but it's always a possibility. Yeah, all these things are possible, but the probable, something occurred here. And was it a drowning or was it something nefarious? Was Joshua Reeby? Did something occur? So far, they've been unable to shake his story and get him to come off his story as to the fact that they were swimming and he couldn't get her out of the water. He got sick, turned away. But then his actions afterward. He says that he passed out till 8 o'clock in the morning and then walked to his hotel room. Didn't he ask anyone? Had they seen Sudishka? Those things bother me as well as they bother everyone else here. And then he goes into the hotel with his shirt off. Allegedly, he lost his keys. Someone stole his shoes. So that would indicate that there were other people on the beach at that time. Did anyone else see anything? Did the Dominican police do a good canvass of that beach? Both a video canvass and a physical canvass where they go on the sand and question anyone they've seen? Did they hand out flyers with something like this? Sadishka, age 20, height 5'3", her picture, and hand it out to people in case they saw something, in case they saw her and Joshua together, perhaps arguing. Is there anything like that? Did they let that out? Have they told anyone the results of their interviews other than the fact that there was some inconsistencies? So far, all we're seeing is that there are inconsistencies, and this man, Joshua Reeby, even though they say he's not a person of interest, he's not a suspect, but they took his passport and they're holding him. He's not free to go. He's not free to leave. So what do you think that's saying? Isn't it saying one thing and doing the other? This is some news about, allegedly breaking news about this story.
Early Sunday morning, the man who may have been the last person with Sudiksha Kunanki was back on the beach in Punta Cana. Only this time, 22-year-old Joshua Reeby of Iowa was with Dominican Republic investigators who are still searching for the University of Pittsburgh junior more than 11 days after she disappeared. NBC News capturing this video of investigators in the area. Hours before walking the beach with authorities, Reby exclusively told NBC News, "I'm just trying to help them out," adding the ocean is a dangerous place. In a statement first reported by NBC News, his attorneys allege his passport has been confiscated. He is permanently escorted by the police anywhere he goes, and he is not free to leave. The U.S. State Department and Dominican authorities have not confirmed if Reby is officially being kept in the country. On March 6th, Reby and Kunanki were seen on this hotel surveillance video with a group of people heading towards the beach in the early morning. Reby, who is not considered a suspect, has been interviewed as a witness by Dominican authorities. NBC News obtained a transcript, which we translated from Spanish. Reby recalling he met Kunanki shortly before she vanished. He says their group had been drinking shots of pink tequila. Then he says they went to the beach with friends, the two of them winding up in waist-deep water, talking and kissing a little, before a big wave swept us out to sea. Reby says they almost drowned, although he eventually got Kunanki to shore. While they were still in knee-deep water, he says, "I asked if she was okay. I didn't hear her answer because I started vomiting all the seawater I'd swallowed. After vomiting, I looked around and didn't see anyone. I thought she'd grabbed her things and left. I lay down on a beach chair and fell asleep." Reby telling investigators he was surprised Kunanki never returned to her room. In Rock Rapids, Iowa, this spring break mystery is the talk of Reby's small hometown.
Is one of the most polite, respectful kids I have ever met.
So that's where we stand right now. And one of the things that I find a little bit perhaps disturbing is that, you need the same investigators doing the interviews of Joshua Reby. You can't have it spread out all over in different people because they're going to repeat things. And they're going, an investigator that's doing the interviews every single time is going to get a feel for it. It's going to get a feel. Is he telling the truth? Is he being deceptive? How about the question he just answered? Did he answer that differently the last time? Also, the person being interviewed feels more comfortable with one person who's conducting these interviews. Is the investigator checking his answers with facts that they know? And what do I mean by that? Well, have they checked his answers with his roommates, with the other people that were on the scene, cross-checking his answers to see if he's telling the truth? And then if you come back with different answers, question him more as why did you say that was inconsistent? Many people find it strange or find it disturbing that he has invoked counsel. If this was the United States, and if he really was a suspect and felt he was a suspect himself, he would not speak at all to the police. He would say, "I want an attorney," and that's it. It's the end of it. However, early on, and even now in this investigative process, he is cooperating. Yet there has been talk that certain questions he refuses to answer now. And that is on the advice of his attorney. Do we take it that someone is guilty because they refuse to answer questions when advised to by their attorney? In our system, we don't take that as being suspicious. However, maybe he's just trying to protect himself from the investigators asking questions that they've asked and he's answered already. So it is a little bit, look, everyone wants to know what happened to Sadishka Kananki. Everyone, this is a tragedy and we want to know the truth. We all have said this Punta Cana resort has treacherous waters. Just since January, 4 people have drowned in these treacherous currents. And usually alcohol is involved, alcohol and the ocean, alcohol and swimming does not mix very well, And in addition to the 4 people that drowned, apparently 2 were also washed out to sea, but were saved. So these are treacherous waters. So could this have happened? Could Sudishka have drowned? Absolutely. But what's disturbing about this to everyone? If she drowned, where's her body? Why have they not recovered her body? And that's disturbing to everyone. And Bobby Chacon, retired FBI agent who's always going on News Nation. To me, he's a good friend of mine. He's one of the best talking heads on TV because he's an FBI agent that was really out in the field, and he was the commanding officer of their scuba unit. So he knows all about what he's talking about. And when he first came on the air, when this first happened, he said there is a possibility that they won't find her body. But in this interview that I'm going to play right now, he sort of goes back on that a little bit and is disturbed that they have yet to find the body. This is News Nation with Bobby Chacon.
Agent Bobby Chacon, who was actually the first full-time diver in FBI history and helped establish the Bureau's underwater forensic program. Thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Sure, Alex. Thanks for having me.
All right, so we know investigators in the Dominican Republic initially believed Sudiksha had drowned, but have since said that this could extend beyond an accidental event. From what you know so far, does this look like a drowning to you?
You know, it's really a close call for me right now. I mean, it could happen because in that same resort in January, we did have 4 tourists kind of knocked over by a wave. I believe 2 may have perished and two survived, but the 2 bodies were recovered quickly. The thing that makes me think it may not be a drowning is the body probably would have been recovered by now,
right,
if she had drowned in that immediate area. She would have drowned very close to the shore, and the body would not, I would think, drifted that far by the time the authorities got onto it. I'm not an expert in the currents and the tides there, but I would think that the body would have been found by now.
Yeah, we do know that there were multiple drownings earlier this year, and I was wondering if that was the case, if bodies would very, very quickly resurface on the shore. Let's talk a little bit about this man who was last seen with Sudiksha. We do know that he's not being considered a suspect or a person of interest. He has been cooperating with investigators, but we also know he...
You know, I just have a problem with this. He's not being considered as a suspect or a person of interest, yet they took his passport and he's not free to leave. It's just bullshit. He is absolutely being considered as a suspect and a person of interest. He was the last person seen. So we're playing semantics. He is absolutely being considered as a person of interest and a suspect. He was and I'll repeat, he was the last person seen with her. So all of this, the news, just like parrots repeating this thing that he's not a person of interest. Okay, then why has no one asked the question? Well, then why is he not free to leave? Why did they take his passport? Why has he been interviewed 10 times? All right. So I just want to put a little bit of truth on this. So the elephant in the room is that, yes, he is a suspect, and yes, he is a person of interest, and yes, they took his passport, and yes, he's not free to leave.
He declined to answer 8 of the questions about the case due to his advice that he was receiving from his lawyers. Some of those questions include informing authorities and telling his friends about the incident, as well as any gestures or cries Sudiksha might have made when she was in the water. You're a former FBI agent. What stands out to you about this information?
2 things about this most recent kind of interaction with the local authorities when he kind of lawyered up, as we say, when he refused to answer questions on advice of his counsel, is number one, some of those questions that he refused to answer, he had already answered before in other interviews. And it's amazing that, or it's kind of curious to me why he refused to answer at this point. And now he previously answered, now he's refusing to answer. The second point is that they asked him about statements to his friends, that whether he made statements to his friends. That leads me to believe that they've talked to those friends and they might have gotten conflicting stories from those friends, conflicting with what he told authorities in previous interviews of his. So now they're going back and saying, well, did you ever talk to friends? So I'm thinking that they've spoken to those friends and he may have said something to those friends that's different than he told the authorities. And so now they're going back to him and saying, did you talk to this person? And because they've already talked to that person and they've gotten what that person says he told them. So it's kind of an interesting question to me to ask. You wouldn't really ask that question unless you've already spoken to those people and you know what they say that he told them, because he may have told his friends one story and he may have told authorities a different story.
Hey, Bobby.
You know what? One of the things, and believe me, Bobby Chacon is aces in my book. But I'd also like to ask the question. And believe me, look, I'm pro prosecution. I want to find out the truth. I want to find out what happened here. But in the same vein, if you ask someone 10 times the same question, might the person start thinking about, well, what do they want me to answer? And not maybe answer what the truth and start changing their answers? Because usually the first interview is the first and last interview, because after that, at least in our system of justice, the person invokes counsel or gets arraigned if they do in fact get arrested. And that's their statement. But he's being held. This is the day 11. And apparently he's still cooperating. So does that mean nothing nefarious happened? Does that mean that there's no possibility that he could have done something? No, it doesn't. So yes, this investigation must continue to go on. We must find out the truth. They haven't found the body. So right now, the only information we are getting is from Joshua Reeby. So they got to keep digging. They got to keep doing this investigation.
Is that the reason why we're also seeing the latest reporting about his passport being confiscated? Is that just an effort to try to keep him where he is at the moment while this investigation continues?
Sure. Now that he has a lawyer, it's going to be harder to talk to him. And they know that if he gets back to the States, they may never have a chance to talk to him again. So, due to his conflicting stories, it's kind of changed over time. It wasn't really significant in the beginning, but now, by the time you're where he is now with his statement, where he was in the beginning, it's kind of significantly different. It kind of changed incrementally over several different interview sessions. And so that's why they really are interested in him, because the truth kind of never changes. Untruth may change. And so he's changed it a little bit to this point, significantly enough in their minds that they want to keep him there as they gather more intelligence in the case, or more evidence in the case, if you will, from interviews with other people, from things that they might find, on that beach.
Hey, Bobby, what kind of interference happens when you have local law enforcement authorities, meaning the police in the Dominican Republic, as well as these swarming United States authorities like the FBI coming in? Is there any push and pull or infighting that might be happening that's actually delaying or slowing down the process of finding this college student?
No, I don't think so. I mean, look, we don't really kind of swarm. We already have a presence in the Caribbean. We have agents stationed in the Caribbean, certain Caribbean nations full time, all the time. So we're a presence there. Not in the Dominican Republic per se, but we do have people there on the ground all the time, and we just offer assistance. So we actually speed things up. If you need a dive team, our FBI dive team comes in. If you need investigators, if you need forensic people, if you need profilers or polygraphers,
right,
we make that all available. What happens is the people back in Virginia, the law enforcement in Virginia who don't have a case, who send detectives there and they have no standing to do any investigation, that kind of bogs things down and slows things down. I wish the Loudoun County Sheriff kind of would take more of a back seat in this thing, because they really have no standing. No crime has been committed in Virginia.
Right.
So that may slow things down. But the FBI, when we come in, we offer any resource available, and we just stand back and say, whatever you need, we're here to give it to you.
Thanks.
So that's, look, he's talking the truth of what goes on here. But so at some point, they're going to have to either let him go or charge him. And they're trying to find out the truth. So what do you do? Well, it's a well-known thing in homicide investigation. If you sort of hit a brick wall, you start all over. Go back to the scene. Let's recanvass the scene, right? Inspect that scene. What have you found something on the scene that you didn't find initially? Is there something that's recovered? Her clothing apparently was recovered on the scene. Did that tell you anything? The only thing it perhaps told is that they didn't see, we'll hear them say they didn't see any signs of a struggle, for example, or blood on the clothing or anything like that. But it didn't really tell them all that much. Of course, they established the crime scene in that area once they found out. But again, here they're saying, are they treating this as a drowning, or are they treating this as a homicide? it's always known that when you're investigating what appears here to be a death, you treat it as a homicide unless facts and circumstances dictate otherwise. Canvas of this area is so important. You got to speak to everybody. And one of the ways you do a quick canvas, of course, is hand out these flyers. Get on the media, get on Dominican television, Dominican radio. Has anyone seen this young lady? For the possibility that she could have been taken from this beach area. Of course, interview of Joshua Reeby, which has been going on. And at some point, we know that he lawyered up. One of the things I would have done right at the beginning is I would have photographed Joshua's body. Were there any cuts or scratches or any indication on his body that would indicate a struggle or any type of foul play? Canvas for video. You have to do an exhaustive canvas for video. And I think they just recently found more video of them drinking prior to going out to the beach, which tells us, there was a lot of alcohol going on. And, based on alcohol, people do stupid things sometimes. And one of the stupid things that was done, no doubt, in this case, was to go swimming when you were intoxicated.
This morning, new details from the last known person to have seen University of Pittsburgh student Sudiksha Kananki before she vanished. ABC News confirming 24-year-old Joshua Reeby told Dominican prosecutors he and Kananki kissed, then he tried to save her life after they got caught in a big wave. When he reached the beach, he thought she was okay because she was in knee-deep water. He then went back to the beach where he fell asleep. Police say Kananki's clothes and shoes were found on the beach. No sign of any struggle. Authorities in the Dominican Republic believe it's likely she drowned. Detectives from Virginia, where Kananki's family lives, traveling to the Dominican Republic to hunt for clues. Loudoun County authorities calling Reeby a person of interest, but not a suspect. This as Interpol issues a global alert as search helicopters scour reefs off Punta Cana for any sign of the 20-year-old. The Global Yellow Notice, which shares missing persons information with agencies worldwide, coming at the request of the sheriff in Loudoun County. The president of the Dominican Republic has ordered a thorough investigation. Sources tell us it could take up to 6 months. Ariel Reshef, ABC News, Punta Cana.
So one of the disturbing things about this, of course, is could Sudishka's body perhaps never be recovered? And again, early on in this investigation, Bobby Chacon, who's, the FBI dive guru that knows all about scuba diving and diving for bodies, diving for accidents, he said once this amount of time goes by and there's warm water, marine life feeding on a body could literally just make it disappear. And although now he's saying, and many people are saying, because of inconsistencies in these interviews, they have to look at Joshua Reeby. And of course, but at some point, if they don't find anything, will they hit a brick wall here and have to allow Joshua Reeby to return home? And I think the answer to that is yes, but they want to hold off. They want to keep him here as long as possible. So if they can find inconsistencies that show this is foul play rather than a drowning and or, an accident here, that's what they want to find out. So foul play or a drowning, Sudishka Kananki, Joshua Reeby, person of interest or a suspect or just a witness? Those are the questions that we need answered. So folks, thank you so much for listening. Have a great day, everyone. I'm Bill Cannon from Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. See you next time. God bless.
One episode just ain't enough.